Hello, my beautiful peasants, and welcome back to the tavern. Today we are sculpting a bear folk ranger slash sheriff slash, so kind of like a forest ranger. We're not going to just sculpt Smokey the bear, and we're also not just going to update. Ooh, cool updates. Yes, my husband's posting Discord. The collector's crates that were ordered yesterday are packaged and shipping today. Yeah, 4 of them. Heck yeah. If you guys are interested in that, here's a boop, link. Boop. There we go. If you are in the US, free shipping. If you're not in the US, rip. It's like 20 bucks to ship. But it is what it is. Awesome. I'm really excited for today's request. I have this really gorgeous bear I sculpted a while ago, and then this Viking bear warrior I did as well. This guy's gonna be totally different. A lot of my references aren't even of bears, they're just of big dudes, because that's kind of the vibe I want him to be. I kind of want to make him so he's like raging, just so I can reuse this awesome bear head and not have to sculpt it closed, because I sculpted this bear back in the day where everything was future Mia's problem, so I did not keep a version of the head in multiple parts. It's just this, that's all I got. So yes. So we're doing Smokey the bear. Get out. Oh goodness. But yes, gonna be another great stream. I have the mushroom folk guy mostly done. I did a little bit of prep before stream. I didn't finish post-processing because I wanted to treat y'all again. And in the vault, I made a new collection this morning. I made a terrain essentials pack. If you want to check that out, you can as well. To get the 3D printable models, you need to be a patron, but it's free to look. So right here, the terrain essentials pack, just like a lot of really good stuff you need to have. I had a hard time whittling this down because I wanted to put in everything, but let's be terrain essentials. It's a lot of rocks. I really wanted to put in like all these different traps that I had and spell effects, and I'm like, that's not terrain essentials. It's rocks and trees. I got a treasure pile in there. It's about as fancy as it gets. But yeah, I had fun putting this collection together. These are all models that are already in the vault, but nicely packaged for you to go grab. If you're a legendary patron, bam, one-click download. I think that's all of the updates. I need to calculate this number correctly. We have over 1,200 models, but I just count how many listings I have in the vault, but a lot of pieces in the vault have multiple models, like my Tombstone collection has like 6 alone. I'll get a more accurate number soon, but there's many. All right, what else is going on? I think we're all set. We ready to get sculpted? I think we're ready to get sculpted. Let me turn off this preview, because I don't need it. So, is Smokey a ranger who multi-classes into barbarian? You gave me a problem today, aren't you? Yes, perhaps. Perhaps. Let's talk about it. So, what was awesome about this request, I think it was from John, I believe. Yes, thank you, John, for supporting on Kickstarter. It was a super short request. It was just literally a bearfolk ranger slash sheriff. That's it. Not like a hi for this request. I want no intro, just bam request, which I love that. So I have a couple references of bears. Obviously, they look very monstrous. I just want some like bipedal references. For the most part, I kind of want them to look like this. Or this. But with a bear head and bear hands. Yeah. And no shoes, obviously. Because bears can stand up on 2 feet like this, it's not going to be too hard to translate. Obviously, we're not giving it digitigrade legs. Yeah. It's been a good time. I want him to look very ranger and not like Smokey the bear, so we're not giving him a dumb little hat or anything. I thought this was pretty quintessential ranger looking, and I really like this strap thing the most. I believe that's what holds the quiver on. Yeah. Good stuff. Whenever you're grabbing references, don't feel like you need to be so literal like a bearfolk ranger. You're not going to find references for that, obviously. So for example, I have a few here of just like quintessential, what I think really nails ranger. And then just kind of the vibe I want. Mom said it's my turn to be a problem peasant. But according to Streambot, or Streamlabs, I'm Mom. I didn't give you permission. Goodness. Are we getting a himbo? I don't think so. Yes? Alright, chat. I know there's just a few of us here, so I'm gonna give you guys an undue amount of power, but I want input from all of you. Can we just confirm that it would be a bad idea for me to keep this bear full roar? That kind of ruins the bear folk aspect and just makes it full bear, doesn't it? I have to close his mouth, don't I? I need someone to tell me that, so I don't make a dumb decision. Because if otherwise I'm gonna make a barbarian by accident, I think. I need one of you guys to tell me that I need to close his mouth. I just don't want to. I hate when I do this in the past where I have this like gorgeous model, but I didn't save like the subtools I was working on it, so it's just one piece now, and that sucks. But that's okay. Yeah. Paint, I can't hear, sadly. Why would you ask me a question? That's funny, because then I asked Paint a question. All right, let's get this kind of organized up. Let me knock out all of these dumb pop-ups that ZBrush does. Bam. I already did a little bit of sculpting, so they should mostly be out of the way. There we go. If you don't want to close the mouth, put a skull in it. That makes it even more grimdark. He's a ranger / sheriff. He pretty much is a park ranger. I love it. All right, we're going to get rid of these because I just don't need it. I'm gonna keep the bear paw, I'm gonna keep the bear itself, and we are going to draft the body here. Got a couple different ways I can approach this. That didn't save. What was that? A couple different ways I can approach this. I can either take my base mesh and beef it up, or I can jump into ZBuilder and try to get a beefier base mesh to start with. So we're gonna try that. There's new versions of ZBuilder, I just couldn't care less. You guys know I am like immune to upgrade FOMO. Oh, there's a new version. And I'm like, do I have to pay for it? No. Not that's not worth paying for, no. This tool is working just fine, thanks. All right. First thing we're gonna do is change this to clay so it's not weird and nakey. Not that I have a problem with that, but you know, YouTube gods are like, has a limit. All right. I want this to be beefy guy. These legs are absurdly long. So I don't need to worry about the head proportion too much because we're gonna just remove the head and put a big bear head on there. But I want the proportions as close to these two fellas as possible, which is a little challenging because it could very easily read more dwarf. We'll see. Maximum male, maximum muscle. I don't like doing too much muscle because, as you guys know, once the thighs touch, it is just harder to pose and to do stuff later. If I'm gonna have thick thighs, they come after the pose. Stop it. There we go. And then heavy. I think this is a pretty good combo. It gives me a lot to work with here. The legs are still ridiculously long. So what I can do is I think go for the older slider. Nah, that didn't do it. I think reverse young. There we go. Nah, that's weird too. We're just gonna go to the forms deformation and directly grab the legs and shorten those up because they're ridiculous. There we go. This guy is like 10 feet tall. That's better. Much better. Paint. All right. That's a good enough base mesh to work with. The arms are still a little schmuh. I might give him literal bear paws. Can somebody figure out for me if bear folk have literal bear paws? I think they do. It's not just going to be like hairy hands. I think it's going to be like, it's literally a bear. This is kind of weird because like most animal humanoids and animal folk, you can kind of do like a blend. I think this is literally a bear with clothes. Yeah. All right, that's just making the arm size different. That's not changing the form. Figure, faces, meh. Let's do even more muscle. Right there. All right, that's better. Let's go ahead and get this model. It's me a good time. Ooh, put the weird color back on. Just kind of uncanny valley a little bit. All right, and I don't need this much resolution. Bam, right there, it's just fine. Beautiful. All right, now let's go back to our bear file and we'll start putting this together. I had someone, it was a long time ago, tune into a stream like, oh cool, it's just kind of like kit bashing. And I'm like, for a little bit, yeah, I'll get you somewhere. And then proceeded to like sculpt like an entire horse skull from scratch or something. And they quickly were like, oh man, it's hard. And I'm like, yeah. You should still learn how to do it though. Sculpting is super fun. Hello, Patrick. Congrats on the successful Kickstarter. Thank you. Bear paws with thumbs. That makes sense. That makes sense. Emperor says, I don't know if anyone here uses flip normals, but the website's shutting down end of April. What? I like literally just bought stuff from that website. Okay, I'm gonna pull that up. Are you serious? What the heck? Well, this isn't promising when I go to flip normals. Fuck. All right, I hate that. Thank you for letting me know. I do download my stuff, but like, I specifically have bought stuff on Flip Normals versus Gumroad or ArtStation because I liked it. And I don't have everything downloaded right now, so thank you for letting me know. Rip. Okay, not a big deal. All right, let's go ahead and get this body put together. Thinking. Definitely bare feet. So I'm going to duplicate the bear that I have already, who is quite handsome. It's been a hot minute since I've been able to cut up a model I have already made and reuse some pieces. Like, I know I reuse belts and stuff like that, but I'm telling y'all, I have been making so many bizarrely custom models, which is fun. But at some point, I'm like, how many models does it take until I've done a little bit of everything? We're closing in on past 1,200 models and it still hasn't happened yet, which is really cool. I mean, I'm definitely never gonna get bored of my job. But like, goodness. There we go. This is gonna look really dumb until it looks good. This is gonna be a fun stream to watch because pretty much every time you guys look up, I would say, 15 minutes, you're gonna see quite the little transformation. It looks like those bear slippers you can buy, like those cheesy like Father's Day gifts. That brings me joy. It's kind of stupid. I like it. But while we're on it, I'm gonna give him these little bear paws too. Did I do the bear pad underneath? I didn't. I think I did on this one though. Yes, so we'll use these. And I like that idea of adding the thumb of some sort. Yeah, they just can't sustain it anymore, talking about flip normals, despite cutting down as much as they can. No kidding. That surprises me. That really surprises me. Obviously, I don't know the guys who run it, but they seem really nice, and I watched their videos for so long, and they seemed like they had really good business sense and stuff, so I remember when they first launched it, I was like, wow, that's so awesome. That makes a ton of sense. But it's a lot different. So I have a website that I built through WordPress. Not an ad. Anyway, and my hosting costs and all that are really cheap, but I'm also a very tiny website, so I wonder if that will ever be a problem for me in the future. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a future Mia problem. All right. I think I'm gonna have him kind of like hugging his belt a little bit, so we don't need to get too crazy about how the bear paws are going to work. Oh, that's not even close. Whoop, there we go. I'm like, hello, 3D space. How are y'all doing on this lovely Wednesday? Doesn't feel like Wednesday to me. I've been very time clueless this week. His hands are so weirdly flat. But they're fundraising for a new platform where it'll just be their specific content. Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, that's mostly what I bought from Flip Normals anyway. You guys know I love the Flip Normals brush pack and all that. I'm very surprised ZBrush crashed over nothing. Am I? Am I surprised? This stream is brought to you by WordPress. No. Yeah, absolutely. Empress says, I'm trying to let the hubby let me go on a shopping spree. Brushes don't make the artist, but I love some good finds that I can recreate or help elevate my work. Absolutely. Absolutely. Empress, I mean, you're at the point especially where I wouldn't heavily discourage you from using pre-made brushes and stuff. You just know I really harp on beginners and stuff to not use it. And it also depends on the student. Everyone's a little different, kind of has a different philosophy on it. Pretty much the more I have students being like, oh, I'll just use this, the more I'm like, it's not for you. Don't do that. Especially, I find if you use brushes too early in your sculpting journey, you're really robbing yourself of finding out how you would approach, you know, solving that problem, right? A really good example is the way I sculpt fur now, stylistically. A little bit is an accumulation of like the mistakes that I made, but then there was a little bit of like my vision in there too. So I didn't correct all of it because some of it was a stylization choice that I like, and it has become part of like how I sculpt fur today. And if I just bought brush packs right from the start, I probably wouldn't end up having that. It'd be a little bit more samey or just more similar to what I had purchased. And I'm being really very, very clear. If you're like a hobbyist, just make art, have fun. Don't worry about being pure or correct. A lot of my opinions are heavily colored by the fact that I do this as a job, right? This is my profession. And I tend to take things very seriously. So there is also that. This is so funny. We are going to close his mouth. He isn't just going to be raging. But this is what we got right now. Do you have any recommendations of some brushes from Flip Normals or the site? Not off the top of my head, no. Otaka says, I'm cold and I have a very busy work week. I'm wishing the best for you. I'm rooting for you. And I just spent $200+ in D&D stuff. Oh my gosh, guys. So my D&D group right now, I now have, there's 7 of us. And then 3 of the 7, including our DM, have dropped like hundreds of dollars on this freaking Kickstarter that looks gorgeous. I already forgot what it's called. I don't know, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, and I'm just like resisting the urge to look. Each time someone in our group drops more money on it, I'm like, another one bites the dust. Not me. I've had a really good month of sales for the business, and I'm like, I want to buy a house one day. I do not need more D&D stuff. I'm gonna save. Easier said than done. All right, so the changes I'm doing to the body right now are very quick, but they're very important and they're not random. So a lot of students, what they do is when they want to make the body larger, let me show you guys an example of what not to do. Here we go. So this is the body I had initially. they do this. They grab the inflate brush and they just do this. Do not do this. They might do a slight, like a lesser version, which is this. It's still not great. You want to grab muscles and expand those, not expand everything exactly proportionally. So notice how like I'm not just using the inflate brush, I am grabbing the quad muscle and I'm pulling that out. I'm gonna add more of this calf. Here's a good example like for legs. This flat part on the back here, what is that called? The top is your thigh. I don't know, the back of your thigh, that's straight. Your shin bone, that's straight. Don't do this. Don't wobble those. You can add to the quad muscle though, you can add to the calf muscle. And you can add a little bit of a transition point there, kind of like a little bit more fat. That's totally fine. Just be careful when you're adding volume to a model. I find that from the shoulder to the elbow is a very sensitive spot because it gets a little too bulky very quickly. But you gotta add volume. Same with forearms. Just like in real life, it is so hard to work out your forearms and bulk those up. It's similarly difficult to add volume to them in a 3D model. But example like this, you're not gonna add a lot to. This is where the muscle is, it's on this side. Just know where your curves are at and follow that. And then don't get too crazy. Don't get so afraid that you need to be like a master of anatomy in order to change your base mesh. Get in there, make some big changes. I believe in you. If it doesn't look good, great, try again. First, maybe note what didn't work, and then try again. We're gonna keep the base body here because it's kind of fun to see the changes that have happened, though it looks absolutely ridiculous. We'll be adding clothes sometime soon, I promise. This is so silly. Oh, hello and welcome to DM Jimmy. I believe you're new here. Hi. I thought getting 3D printing was to do stuff for D&D campaigns. 7 years later, I run a print shop full-time from home. No kidding. Oh, that is so cool. And hello, Taylor. Welcome back. Welcome back. That's awesome. All right. I feel the same way. So Jimmy, I posted onto a D&D Beyond forum just being like, hey, I'm messing around in Sculptress. It's like a free software. What's your character? I'll try to sculpt it. And it was terrible. I didn't do a good job. I was just doing it for free. And I got my engineering degree. And the requests kept piling up and piling up, piling up. And so after I graduated, instead of getting the big job, the engineering job, now I do this full time. I've been doing this full time since 2019. Yeah. So I get you. I didn't even play that much D&D. I play a lot of video games and I've always loved fantasy. But not even a huge D&D player until recently. Mostly because just my friends didn't really play D&D. You kind of need people to play D&D. Though I have been seeing more of those box sets where you can kind of like create an adventure by yourself. And I think they look really cool. I've seen people be like, that's kind of sad. And I'm like, oh, I thought it sounded like fun. Kind of like a build your own adventure. All right, this is enough of weird naked body. We are going to clothe our man here. And again, I want this to be a ranger. That was the request. So yes. So I normally do requests on Patreon. That's what my whole library is. I have almost 1,200 models now, but this one is a Kickstarter request. But I treat it the same way. Which means 3D printing focus and M3DM flare. All right, this is more barbarian. I don't really want that. I think these two are quintessential ranger. However, they are a little bit more of that almost like Arthurian medieval. And I do want a little bit more fantasy. So I kind of want to have almost this mix of like a Viking flair and medieval at the same time. I love this so much. I'm gonna reference these two pretty heavily to start with. Let's give them some pants, shall we? I think it's time. For pants, you simply mask a pant shape, extract, inflate just a touch, and then you're going to Z-remesh by half a few times. There's going to be some weird pantness. We don't want to give him these little teeny tiny leggings. So I will use my clay buildup brush to pull it off of the body a touch. It's looking a little more comfortable, I think. Oh, I don't like, that's some weird topology. Look at this. If that ever happens to you, all you have to do is subdivide once, give it a little bit more polys to work with, and then Z-remesh again. And there you go. Much nicer. His little tiny calves need to be fixed. And of course we'll be adding fur to the body as well. This is just kind of our early figuring out where our shapes are. Excuse me, bear. There we go. These totally look like those silly dad slippers that you would give like your dad for Father's Day or something. I feel like that was a prime opportunity missed to talk about my weather dad. It's kind of an ongoing joke here on stream. I seem to bring up my dad every stream. I don't know, I love my dad. All right, funny little butt. All right, that's a good enough shape. Let's keep on layering. That's gonna be the magic of this. I love the shirt being pulled open a little bit, but I don't think we're gonna do that. We're gonna have a more proper layering here. Something more like this. But it will be short sleeve. I think that's gonna be nice. Maybe a torn sleeve. That'll be good. Is there a difference between your tribe and Patreon? Go to Patreon. Don't go to tribes. My mini factory tribes, it's fine. You get my models and stuff, but what's really cool is if you join on Patreon, you get access to my website. This is the cool stuff. So here's the vault. Have a little perusal. Bam. Check that out. My mini factory is always changing stuff, and I constantly have bugs and problems there. Yeah. If you want the latest, greatest stuff, go to Patreon. So much better. Way better bang for buck, too. Empress, he's looking romanceable already. Oh yeah, kind of I guess I should have had Halcyon from Baldur's Gate 3 on my inspiration board. Yeah. And then Jimmy says, I drop in my see your streaming and have a moment between doing plates. Oh, no kidding. So this isn't even your first stream. Well, thanks for joining the chat. I love that. Otaka, this looks so cursed. It does. It does. Jimmy says, I'm considering joining as a merchant. Thank you. That would be awesome. That would be super awesome. I have a handful of merchants that do quite well for themselves. I actually had 2 merchants tell me last year that I was their top selling designer, which I feel like that wasn't very humble, but I'm just so excited about that. You know what I mean? Like it's very, very cool that I can create art and make a living off of it, and then other people can also make money off of it. It kind of sounds strange, but I'm not going to be selling that many 3D prints. My bread and butter is doing this, so I don't know. It makes me very happy that other creators can benefit. And the big thing is, I like when people become merchants because people that sell 3D prints of my work tend to have really good requests because they know what sells. So it's a fun combo. One of my merchants has been slowly requesting the entire Zodiac series, so like Aries, Sagittarius, all that kind of stuff, and I'm gonna make monsters out of them. It's gonna be so freaking cool. I think that series is starting up next month, if I believe correctly. Yeah, good stuff. There we go. It gets a little better, guys. It's coming together. Empress. By the way, when she talks about engineering degree, she means a Lego certificate that came in a set she brought on Amazon. They make fun of me because I didn't like school. I went to Fresno State University. It's in California. And I got a real degree, but nobody believes me because I never got a job in industry. I just sculpt bears. Obviously, jokes. It's a real degree. It is. I suffered too much for it not to be a real degree. Meep meep. Alright, let's continue on. Jimmy says, long story short, my whole business started with the Fates End first Dice Tower Kickstarter. It was insane. No kidding? Oh man, you're from like way back then. That's so cool. Very, very cool. Well, either way, whether I become a merchant or join me on Patreon or whatever, just by watching the streams and hanging out, we all love that. Welcome to the tavern, new peasant. All right, let's keep getting some clothes on this fella, shall we? I think having a little bit of belly showing will be cool, but he's gonna have fur, obviously, so having a tuft of hair poking out from his belly, I'll need to be careful of not just looking weird. I'm thinking I want to add this cross belt right here because that's going to add a lot of charm and readability. I also am going to want to add a quiver on the back that stands out really clearly. It'll make the silhouette more interesting as well. And then Paint says, is there a different chat I'm not seeing? Yeah, so at the top of YouTube, it has top chat and live chat, and it tends, you're probably on top chat. So it means you're probably not seeing Jimmy's messages. Yeah. You know, it's really funny. My dad's name is James, so that just, our whole family calls him Jimmy, so I don't know. It just feels funny to say that out loud. It's not like the most common name, I feel. Especially because I just mentioned my dad and then you appeared. I don't know. I find it very funny. All right. There we go. I just think that's a really cool bit to be showing. And then I can also add probably a short bow. I like to give rangers long bows. I just think they look prettier as well. We'll have this just for now, but obviously I go through a lot of design changes as this character comes together. Oh, also a fun thing. I've been able to create and sculpt more often because business has been doing really well, which means I'm able to focus a bit more on Patreon. Nothing official yet, but I might be able to increase my weekly releases of 4 new models a week to 5, which is very exciting. But I don't want to jump the gun, obviously, and I never like to promise stuff and then scale back, obviously. I like to just move forward. So I'm only going to do that once I am certain that's something that I can handle. But I want to put it on your guys' radar because I'm excited about it. All right, let's add some more here. I believe it's strap loop I'm a big fan of. Yes. Scroll down to my reference. So there's a panel here. Okay. Reminder to my students, when you're using a curve brush, if you hold down Shift, it will wrap around the surface. If you're having a hard time with that working correctly, it is a little finicky, so don't feel discouraged. Sometimes you need to have some tricks. I'm actually gonna do a trick right now. I'm gonna duplicate this so instead of it being hollow, it's going to be a solid, and that's gonna help it grab the right plane. I also might just do this one manually because it's kind of a tricky one. And this is going to be a really cool focal point of the model. So I want to make sure it lays just right. Oh cool, everyone can see Jimmy. You know, I was a little disappointed in my peasants because all of our regulars here are super friendly. I mean, you know this, Jimmy, because you've watched streams before. And I'm surprised no one was saying hi to you and welcome. I was like, okay guys, weird. There we go. It has been spoken on stream. Mia has committed to 5 medals a week. Otaka, I think I heard 6. You know, I'm gonna take next week off. Oh my gosh. I am excited about it though. So if I committed to doing more models than I could handle, I can create so much scatter terrain really easily, and you can really never have too much scatter terrain. But I don't want to be cheap, you know? I don't know. I like to make sure I'm always putting out my best. Did you guys know that in 2025, so last year, weird way of saying that, last year we only missed one M3DM Monday, and that's just because we took Christmas off. I didn't realize that until a few months ago, and actually no, in January we reviewed the year before. And I'm really proud of that. And like in a healthy way. We didn't just like, there wasn't any weeks where we're like burning the candle at both ends or whatever. All right, that looks good. And then really, I'm kind of doing this strange. There needs to be a center buckle there, but I think this is gonna look really, really good. And I want it to be nice and clear. Here we are. There we go. So for this one, I'm going to modify the brush so that the beginning of it locks. What that's gonna let me do is move the brush around to the back. Here we go. Without the front noodling around. Noodling around is the technical term. There we go. Stop twisting on yourself. See, this is where like, I get students all the time being like, the curved brush is broken. I'm like, no, you just have to like earn its respect. I promise it's worth it. Let's make that a touch smaller. There we go. So it's a little silly the way that it's looking right now, but I don't need the very far ends. So we can just delete that, increase in size, and scoot it on over. Very good. Aloha, Jimmy has been summoned. Jimmy, generally I am summoned with cheesecake. Fair choice, fair choice. Do you guys have a favorite dessert? I've always been partial to brownies. Really anything that has like maximum amount of chocolate. I do a decent amount of baking in my free time, and I'm a big fan of those ridiculous recipes that are like triple, double, supreme chocolate chunk brownie. Big fan, big fan. Also not surprising, I don't have the best teeth. They are straight, but goodness are they not strong. Also not surprising, I'm very afraid of the dentist. Yeah. Anyway, what's your favorite sweet? We don't need to talk about dentists. All right, I've got this strap nonsense here mostly into place. We don't need to worry about it being perfect. That looks really cool. I don't like this bow. I don't know why I tried to put it on his hip like a short bow. I was just kind of, I talked about short bows, I guess. If I'm gonna have a long bow, it has to go in his back. There we go. We're just gonna throw it on the side of the quiver, which is also ridiculously large. There we go. Very nice. There we go. Perfect. Now scoot that on back, and we continue. I want a really cool double cross belt thing going on that will hold up some furs. Probably a little weird if they were like bear fur, but whatever, some sort of animal fur. Layers is going to be the key, what makes this model really cool looking and fun to paint. There we go. Werebears are criminally underused in TTRPGs. Yeah, this is the first Werebear request I have ever gotten. And I've been doing requests full time for a week, so hundreds, for like 3 years now. And this wasn't even a request on my Patreon, this was a request on Kickstarter, so kind of funny. Ooh, a bunch of really nice references provided from Paint. And this is not a reference, this is Aloha being a goofball. Anyway, this is really nice. I actually have some similar pinned on my Pinterest board for this. Very nice. Oh, Jamie, I don't know if you use Discord, if you're already in my Discord, but you should join. There'll be a link in the chat for you. It's free. It is for my Patreon community, like that you get an instant invite, but like you don't have to be on Patreon to be part of Discord. I've had people leave the Discord after they've had to cancel the Patreon sub, whether it's because of finances or they're not using it or whatever, and they think they have to leave the Discord. It makes me so sad because I'm like, it's not like an exclusive club. Also, I'm in charge of it. I make the rules. You can stay. Anyone can stay. All right, we got that piece going. Good. Gonna leave that alone. It's starting to look better. It is. And now let's do these furs right here. So the best way to do these furs is kind of the same way that you would approach a skirt. So you're actually going to mask higher up, wrap around, just like this, and then grab the bottom of it and stretch straight down. In this case, I obviously want it to be a little bit more diagonal. There we go. Make it a little smaller, scoot it off to the side, and zero mesh by half. I do have some old furs that I've done that would work for this model, but having an asset library is a blessing and a curse because you're like, oh, I have all these things I can reuse to make art faster. But I make so much art and I work so consistently that I'm always getting better, which is great. But then I kind of outgrow my asset library where I'm like, I can do a better job. Oh, what makes this look really good is the fact that it's visible on top. I kind of missed that, didn't I? I also want to shout out to my students here. Notice that I'm using pieces of every single reference on this board here. I'm not just focusing on one. I had this student, this was years ago. They're not around anymore. They're not dead. Why am I wording it like that? I had a student a few years ago that whenever I try to get them to get references for their projects, they would give me like 1. And I'm like, you need at least 5. And then they give me 2. And I'm like, more. And then sure enough, their models kind of just became a copy of the reference. And it was just a really tricky concept for them to understand. So I kind of just like gave them a special assignment and I'm like, I need you to grab 25, more than 24 references for your next project. And sure enough, it was their best project they'd ever done. They were so proud of it. It went straight into their portfolio. It was just a really cute moment, honestly. It clicked for them all at once. All right, that's looking really cool. And then I also think maybe a tabard while we're at it. Now, maybe I'll do a belt with a big old knot on it. The pants are looking so unloved right now. We'll fix that. All right, can we get a normal size belt in here, please? There we go. Mirror. Awesome. I wanted that cool tie thing on here. I just don't want to have to do it. And for says, I kind of want to wear rabbit. It's funny you say that because I'm making that rabbit folk monk that's meditating on top of that tortoise. God, that model's gonna be cool. Sounds like it's time to upgrade the Tabard Armory. Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, Aloha says, remember, if you want to make art faster, to also make art funner, otherwise you want to jump out of a window or... Otaka says, now I kind of want to join membership again, but the time... Ah, I getcha. I getcha. My favorite way of thinking of it, mentorship, it's $1 a day. So as long as you get, I would say... 5 hours of sculpting a month, so a little more than an hour a week, you would get your money's worth. Especially because you join streams. Paint says, every time I watch you stream, I want to model, but I can't at work right now. Yeah, I thought about doing weekend streams, but I'm gonna blame my neighbor. All right, a little bit of Mia lore here. So I have a horse. I like to ride horses. I like to work with horses. They're very scary, and doing stuff alone can be very scary. And when you do things that are difficult, even though you love them, maybe you avoid them a little bit. Well, my neighbor has very graciously let me ride on her property. She's got like 50 acres back here, and it has just, my confidence has absolutely soared, and it's just been amazing. She works a normal job, so she's available to ride on weekends, which means I drop literally everything I am doing. If she texts me like, hey, do you want to ride? I drop everything immediately. I don't think she knows that to the extent. There was one time, it was actually a couple months ago, on Saturday, I was having a complete lazy day, no bones. I had changed into pajamas, it was noon, I was going back into bed. And she texted me like, oh, are you up and around? Like, hey, like, do you want to ride? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready. And it was like a little tornado. I get ready, I'm like out the door. When Marsha calls, I answer. This is just how it works. This is just how it works. There was something, she has a filly that just turned, a filly, just a young female horse that's turning 2 recently, which means it's time to like train it to ride and stuff. And she had an exercise she was kind of trying to wiggle around and figure out how to actually teach it, because it's always hard to teach stuff to somebody that doesn't speak English. And it was cool because I'm like, oh, I actually know how to do that. So I showed her some tips on what make it easier. And then because, you know, she lives, I can see her all the time, like right here. I'm not spying on her, but I saw her using this, like the exercise I showed her how to do when I wasn't there. I thought it was the coolest thing. Is it a little weird that I was watching? But I mean, yeah, but their property is behind us. So our kitchen window faces out. So I was washing dishes and watching her train her horse. Anyway, that's why I don't stream on weekends. Long story. Oh, goodness. Oh, I kind of want these little things as well. I don't know if it's going to look good, but I think it will. So let's try it. Fun fact, I used to be super shy about talking about the fact that I have a horse and then I ride and do that kind of stuff, just because the weird horse girl trope is very real and very true, and I mean, I'm kind of weird. But my Discord knows that, and so they make fun of me in like a sweet way. And like recently, Steam Games had a horse girl fest or horse game fest, and the amount of people that tagged me in it, like kind of as a joke, but not really. I don't know. It was so sweet. I really liked it. It kind of lightened up a lot. I'm like, I can talk about things that I like. It's fine. If you have a hobby that you're embarrassed about, don't be. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, these little ties right here are gonna look super cool. I'm gonna add some leather wraps to them. I'm gonna have matching leather wraps on the forearms. This is gonna be really cool because it's gonna look functional, but also light. But the way that I've done the straps and then the gear I'm giving him will still make him look ranger instead of barbarian. I'm really pleased with how this design is coming together. Even if his hands look really weird, don't worry about it. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. I really might give him human hands instead. And then just make him hairy. We'll see. We'll see what the pose is. No, he can't have human hands. That's weird. I take it back. I take it back immediately. Alright, it's starting to look cool. A little less cursed, Otaka. Alright, let me join the chat here for a second. I've just been chatting. I hope you remember to feed the man in the basement before you go off. That would be my husband. We don't have a basement, and he's fine. Mia has friends that are humans? I do. I do. Yes. Mainly just my neighbor, but it's fine. I mean, my D&D group, I'm pretty sure, is all human, but we play online, so I guess I have no way of really verifying that. Yeah. Otaka says, way better. Yes. using a bow with big meaty paws would be difficult. I mean, honestly, I don't think so because bear paws are so big, and minus the thumb, they really can like just grab. You know, I think it only works well because obviously the claws are so thick and then obviously not malleable. So I actually could see them using a bowstring. Okay. Magic. All right, we're gonna go with magic. I am somehow simultaneously in both camps where I'm like, something doesn't make sense, magic. And also like, magic doesn't work like that. You can't just say everything's magic. I am somehow in both camps at the same time. All right, we need more thigh. I'm worried I didn't make him like big enough. I kind of wanted him to be like I don't know how else to word it other than like a fat guy. But that's what I mean. And I just think that'd be awesome. It's a big old bear. I have an uncle that's kind of built like this. And I feel like if he saw this, he'd be like, it's too skinny. That bear doesn't eat. Maybe he's not a very good hunter, per the bow issue as Empress has raised. Or maybe it's just not winter. Do you guys follow that website? It's like bear fat tracker, literally fat bear tracker. It's in Alaska, and they have this giant reserve, and they tag all the bears, and they keep track of how fat they get, before winter. And it's a competition. It is the funniest thing. Please tell me someone has heard of this, because if no one's heard of it, it's gonna sound like I'm making it up. I'm not making it up. It is the coolest thing, and it's obviously hilarious. So they actually raise a lot of donations this way by sharing pictures of fat bears. It's a good time. Man, what a job would that be? Let's go ahead and throw a base on this, kind of bring it together a touch. Oh, hey, Sapphire's here. Hello, hello. Magic. But it's his friend's name that made him a custom bow for paws. Oh, I like that. Friend made, yeah. Very, very cute. I think that's a good idea. I guess it's just kind of generic grass and dirt. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to overthink it. There we go. That's about right. We'll do our scaling once the model is posed and complete. Off to a good start here. I'll have to check it out. I mostly follow the Big Bear Valley Eagles, Shadow and Jackie. That also sounds awesome. I haven't looked at that. I'll check out the Eagles, you check out the bears. Aloha says, the official term for a fat bear is chunky. You were right. I am lacking some chunk here, I think. More is more. What about a crossbow? That seems fair. Patrick, a wizard did it. Yep, love it. Aloha. Okay guys, this is a refined gentleman bear. He has trained his entire life for this. I love it. Did I see the other ref in Discord? Oh yeah, tons of bows. Okay, those are like gigantic long bows. We're not gonna do that. Though it is cool. It would be cool. Yeah, Japanese bow would be cool for a Werebear to have. I need someone to request a model that uses this. That is awesome. That's so cool. Y'all, I have so many requests I'm excited to do. Otaka says, it's a ranger, but he just sucks and can't hunt, is super loud, can't use a bow, hurts himself every time he sets up a bear trap. That's silly. Oh, that's silly. Have you heard of the fish doorbell? No. Is this like a weird knock-knock joke almost? I'm intrigued. All right, we're gonna layer this up. We are going to have this section here that wraps around his legs. Calves are getting a little out of control. Come here, calf leg. There we go. Contain the calf. All right, we're going to duplicate this, close holes, make it a little bit smaller, and then a little bit taller. This is going to be like a fur trim layer that's going to poke out. There's an easier way to do that, so I'm not going to do it that way. There's an easier way to do it, but it doesn't look as good. So I'm kind of wrestling with what is worth my time. You know what? I've gotten so fast at sculpting. I can do the inefficient things just because they make me happy. There we go. I'm at an interesting part in like my art career, and Ricky's noticed it too. Like, the way that I work is I'm so much less concerned about what's like the fast way or the efficient way to do it, because I've gotten plenty fast enough sculpting. So it's not about how fast I can make something anymore. It's just about how true can I make that to what I'm visualizing, and then how can I push that design a little farther. So a lot of my recent models do have little secrets and stuff on them. I think people are going to start putting some stuff together, but there are little secrets to find out. Kind of like how when we were sculpting Barry, the beer golem, he actually has like on the bottom of some of the barrels is the inscription of Marty, which is a reference to Marty the Mug Mimic. Yeah, stuff like that. But I'm doing stuff like that more and more, and it's really fun. I will say, I'm not just like this art zen person. Part of it is just because I had kind of a better like mindset and attitude. And part of it is because sales are better. 2026 has been a great year for us so far, and I'm realizing that we will actually be able to buy the house that we want with some land. I just want a little house on as much land as I can afford. And it's looking possible. We're not going to realistically buy a house for another like year or two, but we're super excited. And when you can actually see your dreams start to look more like a goal that's actually going to happen, it's a big deal. It's very exciting. It very much so feels like an upward spiral where it's like sales get better, so your art gets better and or more confident, I guess. And don't get me wrong, like sales fluctuate and change, but this has been past that. We know what the trends are for our business. And Ricky and I are extremely frugal, probably not surprising you guys. I'm not a cheapskate. I like spending money on my people and my friends and family. But when it comes to me, I'm like, do I need that? This t-shirt I'm wearing was a Christmas present from 2021. I have like, not gonna count how many shirts I have, but I'll give you context. I have 2 pairs of shoes, my cowboy boots and my muck boots. To be fair, my cowboy boots are like $300 and I use the shit out of them, so yes. They're not that much, but they're a lot. And we're really covering all the topics today. I've gone to cowboy boots, to bears, to magic. It's a good day. Sweet. Starting to look pretty cool, if I do say so myself. There's no details on this yet even, just having these secondary forms come together. It's looking really good. I like it a lot. Oh my gosh, Aloha said, when I was younger, I went to the zoo for my birthday, and the bears were not being kept there that month, and I went to cry and go home. That's totally valid. Fun fact, Aloha's favorite animal is a bear. For a long time as a kid, my favorite animal was wolves. And similarly, they had wolves there, but they were like way tucked back in the den. And I also went to the zoo for my birthday. I've actually done that many times. If I had to put like categories of things that I've done for my birthday, overwhelmingly, going to the zoo is up there. I have a photo most recently with kangaroos. Yeah, fun. Hello, Duke. Welcome back. Duke says, the bear man's buns look like they're trying to squeeze a quarter to 3 dimes. That's a thing I've never heard before. The clench is real. Hey, he's got a lot of tension. He's really frustrated about trying to use a bow. I love it. That's fantastic. Oh, that's cool. Otaka says, ooh, Aloha, you've awakened a memory. When I went to the zoo as a kid, the bears weren't there either. Same zoo. I got it. But their cage was built for visitors to sit and eat and stuff while they were gone. That's kind of cool. I like it. You can't say that. Now I'm going to spend hours looking at STL files. Shaking my head. Jamie says, life goals. That's what my wife and I want as well. Cheers to both of us. It will happen. It's just one step at a time, and then having smaller goals in the meantime. For a long time, like 2 years ago, my only dream was like, I just want a house. I just want a house. I just want a house. And that's all I'd think. I'm like, that's really silly. I'm like, what are you going to do in this house, Mia? I'm like, oh, I'm going to bake and garden. And I'm like, you can do that now. I'm like, oh yeah. And I got a lot happier. What do you know? All right. I'm going to take a quick break here and do something else. I already forgot. Toast some waffles. I got those. I have a toaster now, as you guys know. Again, had nothing. I feel the need to stress that like I can obviously afford a toaster. We just, for some reason, we moved across the country. The toaster didn't make it. So we just didn't have one for 2 years. So I would just eat my waffles, the Eggo ones, frozen. I've upgraded in life. I toast them now. They're way better. All right. I made some waffles. It's 2:33 Eastern time right now. I'll be back no later than 2:40. So that's not even 10 minutes. I encourage y'all, grab a drink, grab a snack. We'll come back and keep working on this bear man. In the meantime, Aloha will have links in the Discord, advertise business. Yes, great. Take care. Hey y'all, welcome back. My husband's watching the stream and he heard me talking about waffles, so I walked out of there. After using the restroom, there was already waffles in the toaster. It's the little things. I'm like, I'd marry this man again. I'm a simple person. Okay, let's talk about business. Thank you, Aloha, for plugging stuff. We also have some business discussion to do about, for one of my students here, paint. They have a lineup of 5 questions. We'll go to the first one. The question is, how do you pick a theme or brand for your miniatures while rendering? Excuse me. I mean, step 1, there's some non-negotiables. It needs to be well lit and good shadows. Very, very, very important. You also need to have a good understanding of what is like the alpha angle, what makes your model sing, essentially. Let's do this bear, for example. This would not be a good render for this model. It does not show what's going on. Though this is maybe, you want to sacrifice some accuracy for interest as well, because it's a 3D model. So I think even though this is a bit more accurate to the silhouette, I might rotate it a little more like this to really show the interest of that face. And then you can do quick renders in ZBrush if you go to comma for lightbox and then render set. I use Blender and we set up a whole lighting scene in there, but that's a bit advanced. So you can get away with just trying out some render sets here. If I hold Shift R, it'll do the best preview render and it will look very muddy, kind of like this. This is fine, but there's no particular interest in what is going on here. It's all very evenly lit. I recommend having something with a bit of more of a spotlight effect. It just draws a lot more attention and makes the model a lot more interesting. Now, as far as how you choose a style, well, styles change. Isn't that nicer? It's up to you, which I know is kind of a cheeky answer, but it's up to you within reason. You cannot sacrifice clarity. So here's my website, here's all my models, blah, blah, blah. I found out my rocks weren't on here. We used to do this kind of style render here because it kind of looks like a storybook. It's the same color model and the same color background. Listen, that wasn't an option. Don't do that. So now we do this. Why is it red? Well, our logo's red. M3DM, which stands for Mia's 3D Models. It's not M3 and then Dungeon Master, but it can be if you want it to be. So we picked red because it's a color we like. Nothing wrong with that. We have a very dark background to contrast on these models. And they just look gorgeous. We have a rim light here, so it's as clear as possible. So even when I zoom out, you can still read what's going on there quite well. Shout out to my husband for making these gorgeous, gorgeous renders. So see how there's a lot going on here. We have a bit of a highlight on her hip, another one right behind her head. These are all very intentional. And then part of that, oh, I'm not logged into my own website. That's fine. Part of this is that it's fun if you can take 3D printed photos of your work. This is something that is a non-negotiable for me. Everything that I sell 3D models of, I 3D print myself. It doesn't mean that that pre-supported file is going to work for everybody, but it should work for most. All right, let me pull up that Angel Resplendent because you'll notice kind of a theme here. We just pick what we like. We like red and we like a little moody, so we went with red and black. So we have this render, which looks really nice, but then also the printed photo, which is lit in a similar way. We placed it on a tabletop with the D20 to show scale, and you will always get people that complain. I can't tell you how often I get people saying, well, that D20 could be any size. It's a normal fucking size D20. It's about this big, like every D20. It cracks me up. Like, you're always gonna get people that are like, it could be a mini, it could be a jumbo. Whatever, a 28mm scale. Don't let picky comments let you lose track of what you want to look like. I like the scene. If I were to follow, what's out there or try to be as accurate as possible, I would be taking this photo next to a ruler. That's not very cool. Find out what you like. I like gold. I like rich. I like shiny. I like high contrast. These are all things I knew I liked about, my work and what I wanted to stand out. And that's why they look this way. And it also kind of matches, the metal dice matches our logo as well. It's literally just favorite colors. Technically my favorite color is pink. Close enough, red. But yes, good lighting, good shadows, high contrast between the background and your subject. Non-negotiables. The rest of it, how you dress it up, it's up to you. You don't even have to have a front and back if you don't want. That's totally fine. I do think it's a non-negotiable to have printed photos of your stuff. That's just me. I don't, that's not the norm. That's my only crunchy thing that I have about me. If you're gonna sell 3D printed models, the digital files, you've got to show 3D prints of the work. That's just me. So yeah, there you go. That is your first question. Thank you. Thank you, Jamie, for saying this. In running a 3D print shop, we rarely use pre-supported minis. That tells me, I'm not gonna read the rest of your comment. That tells me right off the bat, you use a specific resin and you know what you like. You have a system, you've been doing it a long time. That's a great sign. We use a highly flexible resin when printing TGM7. There you go. I knew immediately because I'm like, that's awesome. I print like a heathen. I print flat on the build plate because I have a flexible build plate. So I line them all up, I pop them all off, and that works well for a lot of people. Some people don't like that it gets an elephant foot on the base, so they'll tilt their models back. There's nothing wrong with that. There's so many different ways to get what you like. And if I do say so myself, my 3D printed photos are quite gorgeous. So just do what's gonna work best for you. There's a lot of misinformation out on the 3D printing space that make it sound like there's only one way to do something. It's just not true. See what works for you, have a good time. Good stuff. Good job, Basement Man. Yeah, so I talk about me a lot in M3DM. We're a husband and wife duo. It's me and my husband. This is our full-time job. We don't do anything else. He doesn't secretly work at an engineering firm. It's just us. Yeah. Jamie says, most bases we print on the build plate. I like you. Very good. I get tired of like I understand people are like, oh my god, you can't do that. You can't print flat on the build plate. And I'm like, why are you think you heard some dude on YouTube say it? I'm just some girl on YouTube. I get it. But like, be weary when someone is telling you you can't do something in a hobby. Unless it's woodworking, honestly. Don't cut your fingers off. Woodworking has some like, unless it's safety. Don't drink resin. Don't cut your fingers off. Pro tip. All right, let's get back to it. Ooh, Patrick says, I'm so spoiled with the Form 3. Ooh, fancy pinkies up. It does all the support and orienting work for me. Heck yeah, it does. That's so fun. Very cool. There are a lot of 3D printing snobs. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Okay, I could talk about this all day. Great first question, Paint. I'm going to pin that. I think you're here still. Yes. I'm gonna pin that and we'll just do one at a time. Oh, it's already pinned. Good job, me. All right. Ooh, that's a great bow idea, Paint. Check this out. Having it kind of like slung, that's a fantastic idea. I've never done that pose before. Gold star for Paint. Oh, it's John's cat. Paint Angry Cat, get a discount. Yep. Ooh, we're gonna do a diorama? Heck yeah. Oh, I'm so excited to see that. Very good. All right, we continue. Really quick, Paint asks, how do you pick your render style and branding? I picked my favorite colors. It made it look cool. I picked stuff that I liked the way it looked, but the non-negotiables are good lighting, good shadows, and then high contrast between the background and your subject. I try to do like a 10-second answer of broad topics, do lots of blathering, lots of exposition, and then I'm like, okay, here it is in a sentence. I think it's very important to have both. All right, y'all, it is time. We got two big things we have to do here. I gotta close his mouth. I can't have him raging. And I need to fluff up the body as well. The biggest spots we're gonna see fur visible are on these shoulders. And depending how I do it, it should actually affect the silhouette in a fun way. We're gonna subdivide a few times. And I'm gonna come in with my flipped normals build up brush. Chunk up that Z intensity. and start layering this in. We're gonna have this visible. There we go. So the reason why I'm doing this instead of going straight in with a fur brush, for example, is because you need to have some variation in these shapes. It's kind of like I mentioned, like you can't just take a sphere and throw skin pores on it and call it a head. You're missing all the features. Same thing with like fur detail. People think individual hair strands, but that's not really what makes it look good. You really need to have these like clumps of fur look. I could even be doing a heavier job than I'm already doing. This is like the bare minimum. This is the bare minimum. Okay. I don't even like puns. I just, for some reason, if I say them, you know what, that's not true. I do like puns. I'm just in denial. All right, so we have a little bit of texture here. It does look a little bit like weirdly lumpy muscles. That's where we fix this. You can use a purchased brush, or you can use snake hook. So with snake hook, I can start to kind of like pull these little chunks of fur off. See? And then we get this really fun, kind of looks like a mop. Texture is going to print really well, and most importantly, paint very well. I have a rule, which is if my models can't be painted well with a wash, I need to detail them differently, because that's pretty much my extent of patience when it comes to mini painting. My models are not heroic scale. They are realistic faces, so they're really hard to paint the faces per usual unless you scale them up. And I'm okay with that because I never was that kind of person that painted the white eye with the dot. I just threw a wash over it. I liked the shadow effect and I called that good. But everyone's different. I say that I detail my models really heavily so that you can scale them up and print them like a statue. But the reality is I just like sculpting a lot. So I probably don't even need to word it like that. It's nice that, you know, it benefits and when you scale it up, it looks fantastic. But I was gonna sculpt it like that regardless, just for the love of the craft. I went pretty heavy on the fur here. It's a little lumpy, but it matches the head, and I like that a lot. When I make comments like that are almost kind of negative, like I called the fur lumpy instead of detailed, I do that because I'm trying to word things in a way that makes art feel more accessible. I don't want you guys thinking that every time I sculpt something, this is my students, that I'm like, oh, this is perfect. No, I'm like, all right, I like that. And I can always change it later if I want to. It's really, really common for some of my students to get really locked up when they're learning how to sculpt because they're like, ah, this looks bad. Ah, this could be better. Just get in the habit of even gaslighting yourself and thinking, oh, it's just a placeholder. And just make your whole model full of placeholders of details. You might surprise yourself. By the time that you're done with all your placeholders and you zoom out on your model, you'll be like, that's pretty nice. And that's kind of the secret sauce, honestly. A similar trick that I do is if I am trying out a new style, I will take like a detailing style. I will take that subtool that isn't detailed yet and I'll make a duplicate and I'll call it a trial run, and then I'll kind of just let myself detail it however I want. But I still have the backup just in case. And for some reason, framing it in that way really kind of like loosens up the way I sculpt and makes I take more risks. These little like flat arms are killing me. It looks so stupid. But it's not done. And that's okay. Yeah, speed paint for the win. Oh, those paints are nice. Yeah. Oh good, it has hot chocolate now. Less cold. Very good. There we go. Aloha says, I don't run a business, but I did the same thing. I have flowery pink colors and grimdark models on. Cause I like it. Heck yeah, you do. But you still have very, like, correct, easy to read renders, which is great. Oh my goodness. I get you, just lingual. Aloha said, ooh, nice technique for the base layer. Thank you. And if you did want to take this and make it extra pretty, go in with a brush like Orb Cracks, and then make sure you have lazy radius turned on just a touch. Just a touch, not 30. I feel like this lazy radius is being really insane for some reason. No lazy mouse, never mind. And you can come in here and you can actually get this really cool kind of layered up. I don't have enough polys here to demonstrate this. Okay, I know this isn't what Aloha wanted. They just gave me a compliment, but I have to show you really quick, because if you take this one step further, you get a really cool fur style. And I just recently kind of finalized this process. So I want to show you guys a different model really quick here. This is my rabbit monk. Yeah, check this out. This is the exact same technique you just saw, but if you take in that damn standard or Orb Cracks and start kind of layering it, similar to the way that you would draw it, not the way you'd sculpt it. It's kind of like these like feathery strokes. You get this really fun layering here. You can really get some nice details. Also, how freaking cool is this model gonna be? Ah, super excited. But anyway, this was just a small detour. Back to the mainstream. Empress, shout out to you saying you want a Werebear. Bam. This looks like just like a normal rabbit. I think it's a rabbit all the time, but it could be argued to be a Werebear. All right, back to our bear. Jimmy says that's epic, isn't it? Also a request. I want that. It's not out yet, but it's gonna release in like 2 weeks. Something like that. I have a big board that I have everything on, and I'm pausing as I say that because I realize I don't have Kickstarter request on here right now. Anyway, there you go. I have everything lined up and when it's going to release, and then I sculpt oldest request to newest. The only exception being Kickstarter, because I only get like 6 requests or people that pay for requests on Kickstarter at a time, so I bump up those 6. But anyway, it's a good old time. Aloha says, I can't believe you sculpted the turtle without us here to see. I know, and it came out so good. It's okay. I'll do it again. I'll do it again at some point. Paint does seem to show more than mini painting. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Hence, peasant paint. All right, we gotta sculpt this bear head, y'all. I don't even have a good bear head reference. Let me grab one of those first. I just went to Google Images and typed in bear head side. That's a good looking bear. That was really loud. That should pop up right here. There we go. It's actually a painting. I usually avoid doing referencing paintings or other artist work because there might be like some compounding issues of error, but we're not doing taxidermy here, so as long as the interpretation looks pretty accurate, no problem. What I'm trying to say is like I'm gonna have my own mistakes anyway, so I try to limit as many mistakes as possible. Ooh, that's a great reference. Yeah. All right, we have our pieces here. I'm kind of going with a grizzly, I think that's what this is. Because depending on the view of bear, they do look a little ridiculous. Aloha, close your ears. Like, I mean, it's very sweet, but like, if I sculpted that exactly, people would be like, what the heck? Speaking of, that happens all the time when I don't, because I don't know what anything looks like, and I'll look it up, and I'll be like, there's no way. These are reindeer feet. I was shocked. I was like, there's no way that is right. Because obviously I had to sculpt a reindeer for my winter collection. All right, moving on. We got some references. Let's sculpt the head. We're gonna put this cutie over here. God, these perfectly stiff arms are killing me. They look so funny. All right, we're gonna save this. I'm gonna pop over to a new tool, grab the head, and we'll see if I can kind of smoosh this around and make a really nice bear head. All right, I clicked Unify to make it center. I'm gonna line it up as best as I can. See, that wasn't very good. I'm gonna turn off perspective to help me out. There we go. Turning off perspective is very important. Perspective just means that the closer it is to the camera, the larger it appears. So it skews the model a little bit. You don't want to sculpt without perspective all the time because things seem to look a little odd. All right, we now have a symmetrical model, which will be easier for me to work with. I need to close this mouth. So I'm gonna grab the jaw, just like this, split mask points, and then close holes. Kind of an underrated tip. If you are sculpting something and it's new to you, I really don't recommend having your reference flipped the opposite way. So for example, like this is facing to the left, so I'm gonna sculpt facing to the left instead of like this. It sounds dumb, but the less translating your brain has to do, generally I find the easier it is for me. Maybe that's just me, I'm like left and right blind. But that has helped me, so I wanted to share it with you. Did anyone else have a hard time learning their rights and lefts? When I was in kindergarten, so I was 5, just to be clear, I was very young. My dad got tired of me not knowing my left and my rights. Because for most kids, if you just put your hands up, obviously your left hand is an L. Is this gonna be backwards? Because, yeah, it is. My camera is mirrored. I know my left and rights. Anyway, left hand makes an L. So you should know, but it wasn't working for me. So my dad took a Sharpie and put a big L on one hand and a big R on the other. And it was Sharpie, so it stayed there for like a week. That did it. I seemed to know it after that. Oh my goodness. All right, moving back face mask. Usually when I sculpt an animal head, I keep the jaw separate so I can do these pose variations very easily. But I didn't because this is an older model. And get rid of some of these wrinkles. Not all of them, because I do like if he looks a little crabby. This snoot is going to be a bit longer. Not a ton. I'm also going to bring the ridge of this eye forward a touch. That's good. Their heads are so lumpy. Very good. Aloha says, guys, the camera isn't flipped. She still doesn't know her left and rights. I do. Taggett said, I had a hard time with speaking English. It's my native and first language. Didn't speech for like the first 6 years of my life at all. Really? You didn't talk? You were actually nonverbal for 6 years? That's wild. I did lots of talking. Lots of talking. I didn't cry when I was born, so they thought that was, you know, bad. But then I was breathing and stuff and it was fine. Just not right away. I was not in a rush. When I was really young, there was a concern that I was deaf. Not because I had any hearing issues, but because I just could not be bothered. I just would not react to things. So like, I have memories, very young memories, of my parents coming up behind me and like clapping super loud to like see if I react, because I wouldn't react to things that I guess you're supposed to react to. And it would scare the crap out of me because I'm also very skittish and very easily spooked. Maybe that's why. Anyway, I'm getting all kinds of little Mia lore today. All right, this is coming together quite nicely. Their lip kind of droops. Oh, it looks like he's going to be kind of smiling a little bit. Fun. This is really cute. I think I am going to give him a little bit of a smile. Alright, that is good enough for right now. I'm going to pop that back onto our original here. That way he's not just screaming. No more scrim. I'm gonna keep this head here because sometimes when I replace it with a new head, I have a hard time getting the proportions right, and then it makes me feel crazy. I'm like, didn't this just work? Ooh, this would be a really cool idea for a different monster. Kind of gross, but like, how cool would that be? Oh, I'm getting very derailed. Aloha, don't let me do this for too long. I have work to do. But how cool would it be if like we had this like monstrous bear like this with like another monster in the middle? I just think it'd be weird and kind of gross. Ah, so cool. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right, delete. I did a good job not getting too sidetracked. All right, having that seam obviously looks really weird, but I want to have the control over it. So a good win-win is taking a really good like fill brush, like clay, for example. And if you sculpt over it and you're very careful, you can blur that seam to kind of go away. And then go back over with trim dynamic to hide that seam. And again, it's not permanent. When I finish sculpting this, it's not gonna be visible at all. But just for right now. Because I don't want to lose the control over having that. All right, there we go. Coming together. A little more friendly. Like an alien, mouth in mouth. Yeah, exactly. Bear and bear. That would be unbearable. Oh, goodness. Yep, I was a quiet kid. Yeah, no kidding. Aloha, the wise old lion doesn't concern himself with loud clapping noises of others behind them. Yeah, to the point where I had my hearing checked like several times. Awesome. Oh, hey, cool. Aloha put a note in Discord. This stream has made it into the FAQ. If you want a quick crash course on sculpting fur and ZBrush, go to the FAQ link. Oh, cool. I did that actually pretty quick. Okay, that makes me really happy. Aloha does a really good job of grabbing stuff from streams when I like do something and like get to the point. I'm sure there's so many times where Aloha's like, ooh, it's gonna be a good teaching moment. And then I derail on knowing my lefts and rights. So, very good. That would be awesome if you did a class on painting minis for the community. Everyone would love that paint. All right, and we're back. Mia, because this is the first bear friend we had in stream, can you please smoosh his face into a smile for the camera? Heck yeah, I can. Oh god, how do I make him smile? Some of them are easier than others. Smile. Smile. Oh, there we go. That is cute. Here. This might make it into the final model. You know how it is. Ooh, that's a fun little explosion. It's just because I have a funny bit of topology back there. There we go. So I'm using my clay brush here to kind of build up this lip just a touch. And then there'll be a wrinkle right here. And I also think it'd be cute if you almost had like laugh lines, you know? Yeah. Oh, the fact that I didn't give him teeth is really funny. I might give him teeth. I might not. Oh, this isn't the brush I want. I want build up. Okay, making this bear smile like this actually would suit the model quite well. That's why I saved a copy of it, because I was like, this might be perfect. And it makes Aloha happy. Just the fangs. Yeah, I need to add something for sure. No, it doesn't paint. I love the expression, 10 out of 10, living life to the fullest. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I think that's not a pooping face. Hello, Zerchan. How do you know how big or thick details should be? Because it happened to me that everything looks way bigger in ZBrush, and I printed the mini, a lot of details were barely visible. You're asking the right person. I have sculpted 1,200 models, and I have goofed this up many, many, many times. Many, okay, whatever. So, step 1, have a mini. Step 2, take your mini and put it on your screen. I can't move my camera because my husband will be like, yell at me because we spent a lot of time getting this in the right spot. It's zip tied together right now. So I'm just taking the mini and I'm putting it on my tablet, right? And then in ZBrush, zoom out until that is the right size. So that's about, I have a ridiculously big tablet. It's like 2 feet across. So this is not gonna be the same for you. Bam. That is roughly how big it will be 3D printed. For me, proportionally, not for you guys on stream, right? That is a good step 1 to prevent that issue. And if you realize like, damn, those details, I can't see them at all. Here are 2 things you can do to fix that. 1, go over to your contrast slider and crank that thing up. Here is the before, here is the after. Bam. 2, you can store a morph target instead and have a little bit more control. So instead of it being on all of it, it would only be on one piece. But honestly, you can always just mask an area if you don't want that to be detailed, and then use contrast, and it'll respect that still. So morph targets is just a slower way to do that. That should get you out of a pinch. I hope that helped. Cintiq, you betcha. Oh, this is great. Aloha says, one of my favorite Mia ruins a teaching moment segment was when I was about to link her creating clean armor, only for her to derail and talking about the accusations of her torturing Ricky. Ricky is my husband, and he is not tortured, but we have an ongoing joke that he lives in the basement. We don't even have a basement. It's just a joke. Oh, amazing. All right, I am losing my mind over this little smiley bear. He is so cute. Zerchan says, great, thanks for the tips. Yeah, no problem. I love when people ask questions like that because I know I can like really be specific in the advice. It only takes like one negative experience with a kind of gatekeepery artist to really put a sour taste in people's mouth. And I'll be damned if I'm that person. I am an open book. Ask me what software I use, how I do things, my techniques, 0 secrets. And a lot of that comes from confidence. Guys, I could tell you exactly what kind of coffee I have in the morning and how many steps I take a day. And there's no formula for running a successful art business. But I think like artists that gatekeep forget that, and they get really insecure, and they think that this one secret they have will ruin them if everyone else knew it, which is sad and not true. It's like they're discrediting themselves, but they're also a jerk for gatekeeping. So I have mixed feelings about it. Oh my god, Aloha. He's so funny. I love him. Okay, very pleased. I can't even look at him too much without laughing and crying. Is it possible to edit an STL in ZBrush? Yes, I actually have a Sculpt With Me lesson just for my students about that. So like my example, I think, was replacing the wings on an angel with demon wings instead, but absolutely. You know, it's funny you ask that because this head right here is from an old model of mine. It's from this one. So I literally just took this old STL of mine, imported it back into ZBrush, cut it up, sculpted it real time on stream to make this new face. So that was a better example than mentioning an obscure video I have. Aloha, I can't even read that out loud. Yeah, I know, right? Oh my goodness. I'm not reading that either. Oh goodness. And just because someone did ask what tablet I use, and I mentioned I use a Cintiq, I feel the need to specify you do not need a Cintiq. Please don't buy a Cintiq. I don't have any opinions on the company or anything. You just don't need to spend that much money. I sculpt for hours every single day and have done so for years because it's my business. If I sat down one day and my tablet didn't work, I would be pissed and it would cost me money. So I bought something that was very over-engineered and very expensive because it literally never fails. There's no update driver, nonsense. There's nothing that messes with it. Not saying that necessarily happens with Huon or XP Pen, but I have owned both, and I did run into some issues with both. Nothing like groundbreaking. The tablet still works. I just cannot be bothered to fuck around with plugins when I have money to make. You know what I mean? Like it's a business. So that's why I paid a lot of money for this. And yeah. It's not special in the way that it operates or anything about that. It's just incredibly reliable. That's the best thing I can say about it. But it always hurts my heart a little bit when I have brand new students that are like, I'm gonna spend $2,500 on a brand new tablet. And I'm like, please don't do that. I mean, it's your money, I guess, but it's dumb. You can spend $300 on a Huon canvas and be just as set. More bear content could be on the way. This is true. I need to fix the chest of a model. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. It depends what the issue is. Let's say like when this STL is finished, if I want to remove this belt, it would kind of be a pain because you would need to like sculpt, like remove it, carve it off, and then you'd have to repair what was left behind. If you don't have sculpting skills or you don't know how to sculpt, I don't think it's even worth your time probably. It's best to just hire an artist for like 20 bucks to make that edit. Now, if it's just a size issue, if you just want the chest to, instead of being like this, you want it to be like this, that's fine. That won't take much work. Thank you, Aloha. Aloha says, the chest floop looks really good with those brush strokes / fur texture. Yes, that texture, because hot artists don't gatekeep, press B for brush palette, and then R, and you'll get the rake brush. That's it. That's what I used. Not a paid brush, default and ZBrush. That's losing more charm now that ZBrush is extremely expensive. But yeah. Not a, you know, not, it's a free brush, but the software is very expensive. Oh my god. So far it says, I always wanted a Cintiq. I tried it, hated the screen tablet. Oh, interesting. You're one of those weirdos that likes to have the disconnect. That took me so long. So I have a screen tablet, which is essentially like, imagine like my phone lights up and I look at the picture and I draw on it, right? A tablet that doesn't have a screen is like pretty much like this, just like a little brick. Instead of looking at this, I look at my monitor instead. It's a little hard because there's a bit of a disconnect, but it's possible. Get used to it. There you go. You love it. Cheap. Fantastic. Good for you so far. I like it. Oh, I hear you, Jimmy. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take another little 5-minute break. Probably literally just 5 minutes. I'm gonna sit here and just kind of like clear my brain, look at this model, and think about what... I'm gonna go into like super cyan detail mode when I come back. So seriously, not even a 5-minute break. If you're gonna go grab a snack or grab a drink, run. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna lock in, and we're gonna detail this whole model top down in like probably 20 minutes. It's gonna be good. Hello and welcome back. It is time to detail frenzy. I'm excited. I took my little break just kind of scrolling the Discord and stuff, had a good time. Just Linkle posted his wife's dies. Look how gorgeous these are. These look amazing. They're fantastic. Good stuff. And then we also had a really good 3D printed picture from Dewey of my mushroom giant man. I can't scroll him over, but oh, that came out so crispy. That looks so good. Love it. Love it. That's an older model that I'm still so proud of. I always like seeing that. All right. And let's continue. Oh, hey, Sappy's here. Hello, hello, Jared. You did not miss it. We are still cooking. All right. It is time. I'm gonna get everything all set up. I kind of zoom out. I'm actually gonna delete these two references because I'm not gonna need them anymore. Kind of zoom in here to get me some texture ideas. There we go. Oh, I can just scroll. Perfect. I don't need him either. Perfect. All right. Let's reset this. His little flat hands are killing me. They're so silly. The pose is gonna help with that. All right, I think I can just have him. I'll put this up here. Nah, I'm so used to this reference board being down here. It cannot be moved. All right, this is gonna be fun. We'll have like a before and after of this getting detailed. Here's our before. All right, kind of like shake out my shoulders. Haven't done any hand stretches in a bit. All right. I'm gonna set a timer for 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be done in 15 minutes, but that'll be our first increment, and then we'll see how it's looking. I'm gonna be ignoring the chat for a bit. Be good, peasants. And let's get started. My first step here is looking at the pants. We're gonna have a somewhat high Z intensity on the brush. And then we're gonna really kind of take our time on this initial fabric fold here. This is always a really satisfying one to do. There we go. So we're gonna add these kind of samey sized tube fabric folds initially, and then we're gonna go over with some finer details and finally surface noise. And that surface noise is gonna kind of help tell us what sort of material this is. I'm thinking kind of like a roughish, almost leathery fabric, but not quite leather. Something like a, oh, what is it called? Burlap. There we are. Perfect. I'm gonna use a contrast slider to bump that up just a touch. Come over to the side and add a heavy stitch. Let's make that even larger. Very nice. I like adding kind of like a horizontal stitch every now and then, just kind of add some visual interest. I think I'm gonna do it only on one side. I think it'd be kind of cool if maybe this is a large patch. There we go. Perfect. And then last but not least, that little bit of surface noise that I talked about. This is the kind of stuff that really doesn't show up on a 3D print, but a little bit it does. It's just so it's not perfectly smooth, it really goes a long way. And then especially if you print this large or really tall, it will definitely show. It doesn't take much time, so I think it's worth adding. So now I'm going in asymmetrically now to add some of those more detailed fabric folds I was talking about. Bump up the Z intensity. I'm really just adding kind of like some visual interest is the best way I can say that. Because these fabric folds aren't about like, what is the physics of these pants? It's more like, what looks cool? What's some little bit of detail that I can add to have some more variation and interest. I kind of wanted to get in here and make that a little, there we go. Having the fabric folds join back together is pretty important to really sell the effect. Right here, we're losing a little bit of volume. There we go. I'm adding material, but I'm also taking away material. It's one of the most important things when you're making sculpting fabric folds. You're not just adding folds, you're carving them out as well. All right, just a little bit of scribblies right there. And there you go, detailed pants. It looks a little funny because it's perfectly symmetrical, so let's just add some more details and maybe a little bit more roughness on this section that I'm kind of referring to as a patch. There we go. Excellent. I like that a lot. That looks gorgeous. I'm telling you, details get all the credit, but they're really not that much work. Alrighty, now we have this layering up here. I'm gonna add thickness at the same time using dynamic subdiv. Just like that, apply. We're going to frame the mesh and add a tube brush on top, and this is going to be our fur lined trim. I'm gonna dynamesh it. And I can run over it with my move brush. I'm holding down Option, just kind of clicking and dragging. It looks like it's happening really easily and effortlessly, but you guys know how that is. It's not. It's very sensitive to what your camera angle is. So if I were to rotate it like this, these little spikes would not be happening in the same way. I've just done it so many times that I've gotten fast at it. I had a student once being like, my move brush is broken. It sent me a timestamp of me doing this on stream, and I was like, no, it's just doing something slow for hours and hours and hours, and now I'm able to do it quickly. Doesn't mean that you should feel bad if it takes you longer to do it, because you absolutely can learn it. There's nothing special, or it's not some secret technique. I'm just running over it with a move brush and pulling out little tiny fur chunks rapidly. All right, and then we need to decide which one of these pieces is on top. We'll do it like that. Pull this forward a touch. Very nice. Awesome. All right, now we have these panels here. I'm going to crease them first and then divide. I do that because otherwise it kind of like rounds this edge and it will peel away from this fur trim that I added. And I don't want that to happen. Because if that happens, I might end up with a weird little gap right there or something. With this, I think I'm just gonna add some rough texture. I'm not certain if that's gonna be enough. It's gonna look like it needs more. I think it's gonna need more. I think it's gonna need like a little bit of fabric folds, even though leather doesn't really do that. So you can see I'm literally just kind of like scratching the surface of this to rough it up. And then we will add some fabric folds, even though that wouldn't really happen. It looks better than it being perfectly smooth. Because things in 3D, when you're constructing it, they naturally look kind of perfect, and you're gonna need to combat that. All right, next is the tabards. There we go, I got two pieces here. We're gonna add thickness to them at the same time, just like before. Perfect. I might do a fur trim on this. I might not. I'm thinking. Yeah, I think the fur trim would be worth it. Perfect. Same thing, we'll crease first. See, when I subdivide right now, see how it pulls away from that fur trim, and you can't really, it doesn't really touch anymore. It looks kind of weird. I could see doing that intentionally and liking it in some scenarios. This is just not one of them. All right, same thing as before. I will be adding those little fur chunks. I don't want to get too heavy-handed with this though, because I don't want it to blur with the fur chunks I already have. So I might do a different kind of fur chunk here. Just a slightly larger mouse stroke. That's just as small. Thinking. There we go. You want to be careful of blanketing your model in like identical layers of texture. Like you want it to look cohesive, but you don't want it to look too samey. Does that make sense? A lot of the things I'm saying are not true for a modeling. Like if you're making a building, you should make your windows look the same. You don't want some of your windows to have character or like organic differences. All right, I'm gonna merge these pieces down. That way I have a little bit more control over the layering here. Excellent. Onto the shirt. I can probably just do close holes for this. Yeah. Perfect. Same kind of thing, we're gonna do frame mesh, and then I'm gonna be a little more heavy-handed, not that heavy-handed, onto the trim on the edges. This will not be visible. I'll go ahead and delete that. Oh, you're not going to see the trim around his neck because he's got this fantastic floofy mane. So, getting rid of that as well. We'll just have this. There we go. I think the mic picks up the ridiculous amount of little taps that I'm doing here. I'm not pressing very hard, it's just a lot of tapping. Okay, it does kind of blend in with his hairy arms, so let's set it off of the silhouette just a touch. There we go. We're gonna add some heavy seams just like we did on the pants. One, because it matches, and two, because it's some visual interest. These are like princess seams, which I would normally do on like a dress, but I think I might like it on this character too. Maybe not. Be very careful with like really strong converging or diverging lines like this because it's really going to draw attention. I don't want to give him like bare boobs, you know? But the detail is too cool not to have, so I'll do something similar to that. I'm just not quite sure in what way. On the back, I definitely know I want to just be like this. Maybe with the panel right in the middle. Yeah. Very good. Across the chest. How about just one band across the chest? No, I don't like that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll just kind of angle a bit more so it's not so princessy seam. Going in with our fabric brush to kind of smooth this out, not to just to prevent the bare boob thing, but also to make this material look a little stiffer. It wouldn't be this wobbly if it was leather, unless it's very, very thin leather. There we go, just like that. Add some scratchiness to it. Beautiful. These straps I'm really not going to do a whole lot with because it's possible when I pose them they're going to get all goofed up, and in that case I will just redo them to complement the pose. The body always wins. Alright, and we continue. For this I'm not going to do the fur trim again because it's getting a little heavy, so instead I'm going to use the Z Modeler brush and I'm going to extrude a poly loop at the top and the bottom. 1, 2. And now I will not crease, probably, I'll just subdivide, just like so. And detail. I'm gonna grab just this inner poly group here, which means I can mask it and just add some scratchiness to this one section. Just like that. Very good. And then some little asymmetrical details. I'm gonna turn off symmetry, grab my orb crack brush, and just kind of add some little dents here and there. Excellent. I love doing little detail frenzies like this. Just really, despite the word frenzy, just very zen. if I added like a seam right here? I think that could be cool. It's a pretty small detail that people aren't gonna see, but I'll know it's there. Yeah, I like that. Very cool. I'm deciding that the double layers here are not going to be very visible, and they're going to make the design a little noisy. We're going to crease these, divide, and then inflate. Just so they have a little bit more substance to them. Now I'm going to auto groups and mirror and weld. This will allow me to grab one strap at a time and then rough it up. But I do need enough polys to be able to do that. Is this enough? It's not. So I'm already at 140,000 points. So instead of just subdividing endlessly, I'm going to Dynamesh with groups turned on, and then I get the best of both worlds. And it kind of roughed up the edges naturally because I did it at a low resolution, which is perfect. It's gonna look more the way I want it to. And it kind of did some detailing for me. I'm pretty much using the same brush to detail or add surface noise to the whole thing, but I'm using this brush so differently every time that doesn't just look like I blanketed it all at once. Oh, that's my timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to cheat really quick and add some noise right here. I know I'm going over by 10 seconds. Oh no. There we go. And we can kind of see our 15-minute progress point. Let's do a little check-in. Yeah, I think I'm pretty proud of that. Nice. How do I do the trim again? I click on Frame Mesh, which is under the stroke menu. It only works if you have a clear border, like a single-sided, poly groups, or a crease. Any of those will work. He is a princess, thank you. I love it. Empress says, yeah, I love reusing pieces and brushes in the same model in 600 ways, right? I think it's a good time and just kind of chill. Oh, excuse me. Okay, super funny Discord right here. Aloha putting these side by side with screaming and this meme. It's the same picture. I love that. That's so funny. This too. Rage bait memes. Amazing, amazing. You guys crack me up. Summer Bleen. Oh my gosh. Let's see, so far it says, out of curiosity, what do you think has been your most popular models and why? Like Loot Studios probably has #1 Scarlet Requiem because of Curse of Strahd. I don't know what that is. I actually know the answer to this because I can see the most downloads on my website. So as of right now, let's say Axolotl Hydra by like a landslide. People are just obsessed with that. Why? Because it's both kind of like people haven't seen it before, but like they have. People have seen different Hydra monsters, like the False Hydra. So it gets familiar, but has a twist on it. And people love that. Brand new, unique designs are unlikely to do as well. Versus like familiar with a twist, that tends to be a bestseller. Yeah. So when do I get this companion in a party? Have you done a leveled up version of models, like level 1, 5, 10? Kind of. I've done multi-part models. Like I have this angel that has 3 forms did recently where she's like injured and then she's like vengeful and mad and still like her wings are all mangled, and then her final form where she's all healed and like resplendent. That was the last M3DM Monday. So if you go to my Patreon, it's like the first post on there, or last week. No, it's like the first post on there. Yeah. That's a good one. Mia didn't read my cool bear fur ideas, guys. It's over. Hey, I'm still working. Oh, I did jump over you. In the summer months. This is winter. Okay, you said something that wasn't weird. I had to guess. I wasn't sure because sometimes Aloha sneaks in some real Okay. Normal comment from Aloha. Who is my mod? Reminder to you guys. In the summer months, as his winter coat starts to shed, the ranger bear takes his excess fur and creates warm clothes and arrow fletchings. That is so wholesome and nice, Aloha. I like that. I like that a lot. That comment was not on my bingo card today. Just Lingual says, the axolotl hydra is surprisingly difficult to do aerodynamic analysis of. I have some new methods I'm trying though, so hopefully soon. I'm waiting. I don't write weird things anymore, guys. I'm reformed. Alright, Aloha. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay, I think we're all set. This is coming out really nice. He is just a cutie. I wasn't able to finish this one on stream. I think I'm too tired to post this on stream, but I'm having a really good time. Oh, I saw that too, Empress. Empress said, I want to do a challenge I saw someone do for Pokemon. 1 Pokemon, 10 evolution stages. The creator starts the base form. Every creator after only sees the form before with no context. Oh, interesting. But you know, make it 3D models. I saw a YouTube video where it's like they hired like 5 different artists and had them do all 10 forms themselves, but with the same starter, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. Good stuff. This was fun and super zen. Having a good time. Thinking. I'm like, do I want food? Am I hungry? I have a list of foods that I'm like, I like because I forget what I eat sometimes. Might be bagel time. Yeah. Oh my, there we go, Aloha. I was waiting for that. See, I almost read that out loud. I was like my mouth. I was going to read that. Nope. Zip. Peasant Mon. That'd be fun. Could be a cute date night for us. You and Just Lingual. A Lingual. That's your guys' couple name. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay. I knew Empress would find it funny. You know, I think that's actually just a great note to leave this on. I kind of just like zoomed, had a good time, and now I'm tired. I want a break. I'll probably stream again tomorrow. I'm kind of like in a good flow right now where I'm really organized. Crazy, imagine that. And being more organized and a clear idea of like how to set up the streams. And Ricky's helping with a lot of the prep too. Like I come in here and all of the lights and stuff and my camera's all ready, which is super nice. So yeah, probably more of that. I don't know if I'm gonna continue this on stream tomorrow or if I'm just going to start a new model every stream. Do you guys have any preference? I'm curious. No, Aloha. Oh goodness, here, something that I'll do while I'm kind of winding this stream down. We'll do a little before and after. Because I know some people are trickling in right now and they are new. And I always feel sad when I end a stream on new people coming in, but it's inevitable. So let's do a little before from the start of the stream to now. You can see what happened in as little as, what is it, 2 hours, 2.5 hours? Because somebody said that the beginning of the stream was cursed and they had no vision. This was already a good point. It was not looking as bad. There we go. All right, if you missed the stream, it is ending right now, which is a-okay, but you can at least get a little glimpse of the kind of the before and the after. This is, I mean, actually, it was already looking like something at this point, but that's the kind of work we got done on stream. If you want to know how, it'll be on YouTube later. I always keep my VODs up. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't finish the spider lady. She's just sitting there. She's waiting. You could do a speedrun of a Taver Pet. I'm gonna give the new people a treat. Nope. No treat for you. I'll be back though. More regular streams, but also possibly slightly shorter. Alright. It is the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If it's not obvious, I love my job. I think this is the coolest thing. I take requests on Patreon and then I make them. I do them oldest to newest too, so nobody ever gets missed. If I'm gonna deny a request, you'll know. I deny so few requests, and it's always like, I had somebody request all 3 of the girls from K-pop Demon Hunters. 1, that's 3 fucking models. And 2, that is not what I do. I don't do like IP specific stuff. Ask if you want your resident bear folk friendly ranger done, I'm your girl. You want a monster that no one's ever seen before, that you only have a text description of, I'm your girl. Stuff like that. But not like generic, can you make me Sasuke? No, I will not. I can, but I won't. But yeah, I would be super honored if you guys checked out my Patreon. That's why I can do this full time. It is a screaming deal. I am so proud of how much I can offer for so cheap. Seriously. I don't do monthly releases. I do a release every single Monday, so every week. And then it just goes into the vault. So you also get every other model I have ever made, which is, again, over 1,000. So yeah, really awesome. Would love to be part of the community. At the very least, thank you so much for watching the stream. That also does a lot. So yeah, take care, and I'll probably see you guys tomorrow, okay? All right, Tab is closing. Get out.